Jaskirat Singh Bawa is standing by for more on the story. Jaskirat, the last time Prashant Bhushan weighed in on Jammu and Kashmir and aired his views about what should go on in that state, there were some pretty serious repercussions for him.
Well, that is correct. A fringe group called the Bhagat Singh Kranti Sena, headed by Tejinder Bagga, actually went in and physically attacked Prashant Bhushan. There was already a case pending in the Patiala House Court with regards to that attack. He was beaten up by 3 people in his office outside of the Supreme Court. And the reason for the attack was given as Prashant Bhushan against the Indian Army and in favor of the secession of Kashmir. However, this current of Prashant Bhushan is slightly tested.
Jaskirat, I want to hold you for a second. I'm told that Naeem Akhtar of the PDP, one of the major political parties of Jammu and Kashmir, is on the phone line with us. Mr. Akhtar, thank you for speaking to Headlines today this morning. Prashant Bhushan calling for a referendum in Jammu and Kashmir on the presence of the army. What are your thoughts on that comment?
I don't know what should be the mode of demilitarization of Kashmir, but that has been our persistent demand also, that the civilian spaces should be vacated by the army and full democratic rights should be restored to Jammu and Kashmir, to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. The institutions in Jammu and Kashmir should be fully empowered, as is happening in other areas of the country, in other states. Jammu and Kashmir, the people of Jammu and Kashmir deserve restoration of full democratic rights with their institutions, and nobody should be allowed to actually breathe down their neck. And we strongly reiterate our demand that the army has to go to barracks one day, and the draconian laws have to be rolled back.
They may be draconian laws, certainly in the perspectives of human rights activists, for sure. However, just last year we saw an uptick in the number of attacks from militants on soldiers, on police forces. We've seen attacks from militants on schools as well, on mosques in Jammu and Kashmir. This is not a fight against the militants that's going away. The army provides security to that region.
All across the country. That happened in Bombay, that happens in Delhi, happened in
the point. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. I apologize for interrupting, but the point that's being made is that this is not a regular feature in the rest of the country, as regular as it is in Jammu and Kashmir.
That is happening everywhere. That's happening in the Naxal-affected areas. There have been more massacres there than in Jammu and Kashmir. We demand that the country must repose its trust in the election process, in the democratic process, and in the ability of the people of Jammu and Kashmir to take care of the security of the country as well as the state. It is basically the people who, from whom the security comes to the country.
Naeem Akhtar, we appreciate you sharing your views to Headlines today. Thank you for sharing your time as well. Bhim Singh of the Panthers Party is on the phone line as well. Mr. Singh, thank you for joining Headlines today. I'm told we've just lost the connection to Mr. Singh, but as Naeem Akhtar over there of the PDP was saying, he in fact supports the general idea behind Prashant Bhushan's call for a referendum on the position of the or the continued presence of the army in Jammu and Kashmir. However, he's not too sure on the process of getting that the AFSPA, or the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, out of Jammu and Kashmir. Jaskirat Singh Bawa, our correspondent, is still on the phone line. Jaskirat, you were talking about the repercussions for Prashant Bhushan the last time he brought up the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. I'm told by my producer we have Bhim Singh back on the phone line from the Panthers Party. Mr. Singh, thank you for joining Headlines today. Your reactions to Prashant Bhushan's statements?
Read the details of it, and he's asked for a referendum to decide whether armed special forces the Armed Act should prevail in J&K. I think this is a totally rubbish idea and not acceptable institution of India and the system in the country we have got. No, there's no referendum provided the country, and if we want a referendum, let there be a referendum throughout the country, not in Jammu and Kashmir. Referendum should held all over the country, whether now this Sabha is needed in Jammu and Kashmir or not.
Right. I want to play devil's advocate and put the opposing view to you, sir. Law and order being a state subject, one of the arguments is that because it's a state subject, let the people of the state decide whether they want that kind of security presence or not.
That's not true. It's a misinterpretation. There's no subject. Under the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir, under Section 3 of the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir is and shall be integral part of India. This is our law. This is our Constitution. And all the fundamental rights in the Constitution of India in Chapter 3 are applicable to J&K. Jammu is part of India and shall be part of India. This is the law.
Mr. Singh, we appreciate you sharing your views with Headlines Today. Thank you for joining in this morning. That was Professor Bhim Singh of the Panthers Party saying there's an incorrect interpretation of both the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir and the laws of the land when Prashant Bhushan calls for a referendum on the presence of the army in that state. Jaskirat Singh Bawa, if I can come back to you now on that question we were discussing earlier about the last time Prashant Bhushan made such statements on Kashmir, they didn't go down too well.
Now, Prashant Bhushan has had a very long-standing views as far as Jammu and Kashmir AFSPA is concerned. He has, in fact, represented NGOs even in the High Court and the Supreme Court with regards to AFSPA. Now, Prashant Bhushan has actually tempered down in his arguments because if you look at his statements 2 to 3 years ago, he's actually making statements which were comparable to secessionist statements, calling for a separation of the state of Kashmir if the people wanted to do so. In retaliation, some fringe elements of the right wing actually went into his office and attacked him. They beat him up. There's a case already pending with regards to that. That fringe element is now resurfaced again, calling for a referendum to actually excommunicate and throw Prashant Bhushan out of the country in retaliation to his statements now made in an exclusive interview to the TV Today network. Now, at the same time, Prashant Bhushan over here says that these are his own opinions and it is his long-standing opinion. But one other thing he needs to probably take into consideration is the fact that even despite AFSPA, the Indian Army has only been deployed in the populated city areas of Kashmir, probably only once or twice in the last decade or so. So what exactly are the details? What exactly did he intend in saying when he said AFSPA should be removed? And of course, when he said that the army should not be brought in against the wishes of the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
Political battle that gets everyone's emotions going. So the status of Jammu and Kashmir and the presence of the army in that state. Prashant Bhushan stoking the fires once again. Jaskirat Singh Bawa, thank you for the updates.